Hi! Long time no see. It's been a while since I made a video with like PowerPoint stuff, but uh in this an election year, I have often felt it better just to not say anything. Honestly, today though, we have a subject which intersects so many of my interests, because we're going to talk about like racism and prejudice. We're going to talk about manipulation a little bit. We're going to talk about like failures to check sources and basically going through life making decisions based on poor information. And we get to do it all in the context of tier lists being bad ways of communicating information, which I am so happy about because I fucking hate tier lists. Uh, anyway, the tier list in question is from a panel that was held at TwitchCon about a month ago. And the tier list, this is an image of it. The most incendiary image you can make of it, basically. We are rating people from Arab to loves Sabra, going through Arab-coded, asks perms, thinks it's a slur, and then loves Sabra. And we have a few faces on it, including Ethan Klein of like He Productions, who I used to watch Ethan do stuff, like a political podcaster kind of guy who used to do sketch comedy. I don't know if he still does. I don't know. I don't watch him anymore. But he took issue with being placed on this tier list in this way at TwitchCon and took to the internet.
Hello, everybody.
About
It's
that.
Ethan Klein from my basement. Beautiful Friday evening.
I'm
My
gonna let
kids
Ethan
just went
talk.
to sleep, and I opened Reddit to browse my community, who I love so well. And at the top of the subreddit is this very lovely clip entitled "Just a Casual Panel Provided by Twitch at their con, broadcasted on their official channel." What is it? Well, it's a panel hosted by Frogan and four of her friends, in which they have a tier list where they rate people where good is Arab and bottom is loves Sabra. Sabra is a very popular hummus brand. I know in Israel, it's pretty much in everybody's refrigerator, and it's kosher. They're an American company, but they've been the subject of the pro-Palestine boycott. I mean, it's kind of just Arab good, Jew bad. I mean, I'm having a hard time seeing.
Okay, I want to cut Ethan off there. I want to briefly cut Ethan off there, but I am going to talk about how like adding additional context to the information that you have is important in this video. And so I do want to go like 10 seconds further. But I want to preempt by saying like in the next 10 seconds you're going to understand why I don't show you the rest of the video.
This any other way. And what's crazy is that I've been suspecting that Twitch has an anti-Semitism problem. Obviously, it started with Hasan platforming Houthi terrorists.
Hasan like mostly didn't platform Houthi terrorists, like, but we are going to now go through a laundry list of like basically defamatory claims about other people, claiming that they hate Jewish people. Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you, Ethan. So that is what Ethan's take was on this tier list. He has stated, Ethan has an audience of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. This is on like second personal channel, which only has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but his overall audience is millions. He has stated that this is a tier list that says Arab is good and Jewish is bad. And that is what he is claiming that this tier list is. So there are lots of things that I want to talk about in this video, but a first thing that I want to do is that claim is a testable hypothesis. This panel continues, and more faces get put on the like tier list and stuff. We don't have to argue about whether that's true or not. We can actually like test it using the data. We can look at the completed tier list and say, like, does this tell you, like, at the top are the Arabic people and at the bottom are the Jewish people? Because if it did, then we might think, like, oh, if this isn't like Arab is good, Jewish is bad, it's at least something that like has some correlation to being Arabic or Jewish, right? Um, but this is the final tier list. Up there in Arab is Tubbo, a white guy from England. XQC is Arab coded. He is like one of the. XQC is like a type of white that is so white that it isn't white. I. Look, I don't know. Don't know how to explain it exactly. Recently on Twitch, I'm not going to get into this because this is like side angle, but you can take the analysis that I'm doing here and apply it to other situations too. Sneeko is an Arabic content creator who was recently unbanned on Twitch. And is he Arabic? I don't actually know these people. He has converted to Islam. I believe he's Arabic. Anyway, whatever. He was recently unbanned on Twitch after a 2-year ban. He has been known for saying anti-Semitic things. Like, this is someone who perhaps genuinely actually doesn't like Jewish people. He is in the bottom category. What? Right? There are... So I don't know all of these people, and like the two people who are on this list who are like publicly Jewish, one of them is Ethan, who is in the bottom category, and the other is Miskif, who isn't. So in terms of this being like a testable hypothesis, like no, this isn't, no, like it's just wrong. There is no room for conversation or anything. That isn't what this is. Ethan is wrong. So, this is actually introduced by the panelists, and you can like watch the panel if you want. The link is here. It's a tier list on whether or not people can casually use the Arabic term of endearment Habibi in conversation. And the panelists are like further using this as kind of a humorous way to judge whether someone acts similarly to how culturally Arabic people act or not. So, for example, and again, this is like humorous. This is a light-hearted panel. These are people being like charismatic and entertaining content creators, you know, telling jokes and things like that. But for example, on XQC, who is a white guy being placed in Arab coded, the panelists say he's loud and hard to understand. I believe one of them compares XQC to his dad, actually. He's loud and hard to understand, and he says things really homophobic, but also kind of nice. Which is... I think that's quite funny. I think that's quite funny. Ethan talks a decent bit in his response about how Sabra is like essentially a dog whistle. Like Sabra is a stand-in for Jewish people, but like there's a much simpler explanation here. So Sabra is a very popular American hummus brand, but hummus is a Middle Eastern food. Hummus originates in the Middle East, which is where a lot of Arabic culture is located in the world, and has been, we might say, appropriated by an American company to like, you know, make as a product and make money off. This is like if an Italian said it was un-Italian to like deep dish pizza, which is just wholly unremarkable. If anything, like cultures shitting on other people's takes of their food is like one of the lowest stakes things that cultures ever talk about. Like this is something that is fairly universal and just extremely normal. Further, if Sabra were being used as an anti-Semitic dog whistle for Jewish, the category for Love Sabra would presumably have Jewish people in it, right? It has one, but like the category has 6 people in it, and the other person who I could find was publicly Jewish. It's really weird, by the way, to like Google, is this person Jewish? Like it feels, because anti-Semitism is real. Um, this isn't it, but it is real. Real enough that it's weird to Google if people are Jewish. Anyway, the other person who I could find being publicly Jewish isn't in that category. So like no, probably not a dog whistle here. Um, and also when Ethan is rated and placed on this tier list in the Love Sabra category, commentators mention like humorously again that they should have another category at the bottom that is Zionist. Um, and that is a touchy thing to say. That is perhaps a comment that got them in hot water with other people watching the panel, which we might talk about a little bit later. But it also just contextually isn't a weird thing to say. So Ethan's made a fairly big deal about supporting Israel, and I don't like, I'm not saying he's a shitty person for doing that in any way whatsoever, but that is largely what Zionism is. We have to be kind of careful talking about Zionism because it's such a touchy subject. But Zionism is the belief that there should be like a Jewish ethno-state in the Middle East, like Israel. So if you think that Israel like should exist as a Jewish ethno-state, that's kind of the core thing that Zionism is. This isn't something that all Jewish people believe. I have seen a 90% of Jewish people are Zionists number like spread around the internet like it's real. That isn't real. Like look up data. It's very hard to like. Samples on this are very weird because like Jewish, like you can't take a simple random sample of Jewish people in the world. There's no way to do that. Jewish people like don't all live in the same country. Jewish people don't all like publicly tell you that they're Jewish. Like you can't know what that number is. You cannot know what percentage of Jewish people are Zionist. The data that I have seen, like the 90% number is something that Ethan just said on Instagram once. That's, I believe, where the 90% number comes from. I don't know where he got it from. I have seen surveys of American Jewish people, like people who identify as Jewish publicly and live in America, on whether they support Israel as a state or not. And that's like in the 50 to 60% range. Whether they further identify as Zionist, I don't know. I frankly wish I didn't give a fuck. I don't live in the Middle East or Israel. I live in America, and I stream on Twitch, and that is my motivation for talking about this. Is I want to talk about what it's like to like be a Twitch streamer and live in America. More so, TwitchCon was in America. Twitch is an American company that I work for, contract with. Okay, so when they bring up Zionism as like this is somebody who's even worse than somebody who likes the American version of our culture's food, that just kind of like makes sense from an Arabic person's perspective. If there were another culture of human beings who believed that they had a right to settle an ethno-state where you live at the moment, that would presumably strike you as very culturally different from you. If I was sitting here in my home in the Seattle area of Washington State, and there was an ongoing project to create a nation state of like another ethnicity of people from me where I lived, me and my friends might reasonably say that the people who were doing that were quite culturally different from us. And this despite all sorts of controversy that is reasonable about Zionism, that statement that like an Arabic person is going to see someone who believes in Zionism as different from them, I don't think should be controversial. I think that just is obvious to you if you think with empathy about what it would be like from your own perspective if people were coming to try to settle the land that you lived on. Okay. Some quotes from the panel because I decided I had to watch it all. On XUC being Arab coded, already said this one. He's loud and hard to understand and says things really homophobic, but also kind of nice. On other people, to be Arab, you have to have strong opinions. That was, I believe, when placing someone who that might have been Pokemon. I don't remember who it was actually, but it was like a reason for downgrading someone on the tier list where like they could have gone higher, but it was like no, they're too like polite. They're more culturally American. Americans are culturally polite than Arabic. Arabic people are very cleanly. That was stated as a reason for putting Asmongold in Love Sabra. Plenty of other reasons to put Asmongold as a long way away from being from being Arab coded. This all happens in the context of Asmongold, who is again on the tier list. He is that guy, I believe. He just got banned for like 2 weeks on Twitch for going on a diatribe about how like Arabic culture was inferior in every way to white culture. So if we're looking for people who are just saying out loud racist things, they are present here. They're just not the people making the tier list. Some of them are on the tier list. And it seems like the opinion of the people making the tier list perhaps is that people who say racist shit are not culturally Arabic. Given that somebody saying racist stuff about Arabic people is at the bottom of the tier list, but someone saying anti-Semitic stuff is too. Which is like reasonable. I would hope to be able to say that people from my culture are not racist. That seems like a reasonable thing for, cultures to have. Ethan's like very, very strongly of the opinion that Sabra is being used as a dog whistle for Jewishness, so I felt like it was important to mention that during the panel, they spend like half a minute to a minute talking about doing a taste test of hummus where they could immediately tell which one was Sabra and hated it. Yeah, this is just sensible. Like if you are from a culture where you grow up eating a certain type of food, and there's another culture that tries to make that food but makes it differently, you might not like it. Doesn't actually mean that that food is bad. Like we all understand that, right? Like when Italians say that deep dish pizza is bad, they don't like deeply resonantly mean that it is an affront to God or anything and that people who eat it are terrible. They're like saying we're Italian, we like a certain type of pizza, that isn't it. Which is an okay thing to say, generally in good humor. Anyway, a sensible resolution to this because I don't think anybody got hurt here. We're all physically okay. There seems to have been a misunderstanding where Ethan saw this list being communicated to him and jumped to some conclusions that were a little hasty. So I think you should just apologize. I think like doing some sort of moderation of your community, if you're finding an image like this posted in your community in a way that leads you to this conclusion, like probably you need to moderate your community a little bit more because clearly there's some misleading stuff going on in your community. That's what I would do. But overall, this isn't like a terrible, terrible, terrible thing or anything so far, really. It's like, it's a bit iffy, but yeah, people are tense about anti-Semitism for very reasonable reasons. Act 2 happens now. So Frogan, who ran the panel, reposted at 3:57. Oh, this is a tweet from Zach Bussy. I don't actually know how to pronounce Zach's name. At 3:57 p.m. on October 21st, 2024. He's kind of like low to the ground on reporting on Twitch news. This is a good follow on Twitter if you're interested in Twitch news. He tweeted that Twitch had suspended all the members of the TwitchCon rating streamers panel for 30 days for hateful conduct, according to sources familiar with the matter. I watched the entire panel. There just wasn't any hate in it. Like, so that is like a bad moderation decision in my opinion, but I am also not the person in charge of Twitch's moderation. If they want to make the moderation decisions that they make, you know, I don't know, there might be information that I'm not aware of, etc., etc., etc. It's kind of like not a thing that I can single-handedly look at and be like, oh, this is terrible, because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes or anything. Like, it's not like people are like tweeting about like what happened in order to make this ban decision. So I don't really know. Like, maybe they got in contact with the streamers who held the panel and were talking to them about it, and the streamers who held the panel were all like really anti-Semitic during that conversation in private. Could have happened, maybe. I don't know what happened in private, except at like exactly the same time, the ADL tweeted that it had gone and talked to Twitch about the panel that happened at TwitchCon, which it had become aware of in the past week. So like after Ethan made his video, because this panel happened like a month ago at TwitchCon and Ethan made his video a few days ago. They had gotten in touch with Twitch and basically put pressure on Twitch to suspend these streamers. They characterized the panel in their tweets as anti-Semitic vitriol during a time of intense apprehension for the Jewish community. So this is, you know how I was just saying that I'm not Twitch moderation? Neither is the ADL. But the ADL at least has claimed that they had some communication and interaction with Twitch in which they advised that it was correct to suspend the accounts of these content creators. Which is weird. These content creators are like individual humans. They are contractors for Twitch. They are also like from a demographic of people who receive discrimination, who are discriminated against. So the ADL, you might be wondering, what the fuck is the ADL? What even is this? Well, it's an anti-defamation league. It was founded to combat anti-Semitism, sure, but also bigotry and discrimination. So, in my mind, when I read that, what I think the ADL should be tasked with doing as an organization in this sort of situation is like actually watching the panel and seeing if the guy with millions of viewers who accused the people on the panel of doing dog whistle anti-Semitism and unleashed all of his viewers to go yell at them. I think that an organization called the Anti-Defamation League, which cares about combating bigotry and discrimination, should probably like go watch the panel and see if that's true or not. But my impression is that they didn't. Because I did. And I don't know how any reasonable human being can watch the panel and come away with the opinion that the people involved have to be banned from Twitch. Unless you are like deeply, deeply prejudiced toward the people involved. Anyway, they have gotten involved talking to Twitch and gotten 4 individuals who contract with Twitch who I would guess make anywhere from $30,000 to $300,000 a year, but certainly no more. They have gotten those people suspended from the platform for a month, making it so they can no longer earn money on the platform. The ADL, meanwhile, has revenues of 92 million and a total operating revenue of 80.9 million. So when we're talking about stopping discrimination, whew, maybe this is the thing. A couple of highlights from the ADL's Wikipedia. The ADL tracked rapid growth in hate speech and harassment on Twitter after Elon Musk bought the social network in 2022. In early September 2023, Elon liked and replied to a tweet by the Irish white nationalist Keith Woods that called for banning the ADL from X, which was Twitter's new name under Musk. I love that Wikipedia has said that X was Twitter's new name in past tense. That is so funny. Musk also accused the ADL of defamation and threatened to sue it, writing that advertising revenue was still down 60% primarily due to pressure on advertisers by the ADL. That's what advertisers tell us. So they almost succeeded in killing X/Twitter. The ADL said as a matter of policy, it did not comment on legal threats, but that it had recently met with X leadership, including CEO Linda Yaccarino, who had thanked the ADL CEO on the platform, and Greenblatt later praised Musk after he announced policy banning phrases such as decolonization and from the river to the sea on Twitter. The head of ADL Center for Technology and Society, Yale Eisenstadt, I don't know if I pronounced either of those names right, sorry, reportedly quit in protest of the praise for Musk. Yeah. Probably Greenblatt is like the CEO of the ADL. Probably the CEO of an anti-discrimination league should not be praising Elon Musk. Elon Musk, famously, like contributing millions of dollars to Donald Trump's presidential campaign right now. Famously, a discriminatory human being, I would say. Like, yeah, we don't need to get sidetracked into Elon Musk being a shitty person, but I just, like, the further that I got into this rabbit hole, the more and more I was just, like, fascinated by what the fuck is going on at the ADL right now. They have people praising Elon Musk. They have people resigning because other people are praising Elon Musk. The ADL has, I believe this is recent, the ADL has decided that they consider criticism of Zionism to be anti-Semitic. This is nonsensical. Zionism is a colonial belief, right? It is a belief that you can put a nation state on land that isn't like yours right now, that other people currently live on. I think that adherents of Zionism would say, like, that is our land. We just got kicked off of it, but we want to come back again. I cannot solve everything in the Middle East at the moment. Again, I'm an American largely concerned with racism in America and what it's like to work on Twitch. But yeah, I'm not going to solve all of that shit. But I think I don't think that you can say that everyone who thinks that people shouldn't be able to go to somewhere where other people are living and kick them out is racist against the people who are doing that. I don't think you can tie the idea of being Jewish to the idea of we have to go to another part of the world and kick people out of their homes. I think that that's anti-Semitic. I think a lot of Jewish people don't think that, and I think that believing that you have a right to go and kick other people out of their homes is shitty. So that's what I think, and I don't think that that's anti-Semitic. And I don't think it's close. And yeah, so The ADL has taken it upon itself to stand against criticism of Zionism now. Criticism of Israel is also anti-Semitic. I get kind of like, yeah. Anyway, ADL stuff, like the people from the Anti-Defamation League, again, have criticized this change of tack. I think some of them have left the organization over this. Quote here, former regional development director for the group has claimed that it is willing to throw Palestinians under the bus in order to maximize fundraising for an organization that says that it is about preventing discrimination and bigotry. It seems really weird for it to decide that anyone who is critical of colonialism is a bigot. It just seems like it would make it harder for it to do its job well. Overall, chilling to see Arabic creators persecuted for speaking humorously about their culture on Twitch. Just really fucking weird. So weird. And like going through all of the like comments like sent at these people, the number of times that someone has said something and then it's been taken out of context, the number of times that someone has been said something that you could treat as controversial but could also treat with understanding, and people have chosen to treat it as controversial. The amount of hate, the fact that these people have actually been kicked off the platform for a month so they cannot earn income and do their jobs. This is not good. I would say that this is not great. This looks to me like persecution. Not the thing that they are doing, the thing that is happening to me. It's frustrating to see an abject failure of people to do a modicum of research before turning to accusations of racism/anti-Semitism. It is hard not to see this as racially motivated, as I would have no trouble talking about my culture with my friends in a similar way to how the people at this panel talked about their culture with their friends. Note that racism does not need to be attached to intent. Racism can be out of ignorance. Here's the deal. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I want to interpret what is happening as people misinterpreting and thinking that the people they're talking about were anti-Semitic, and that's bad, and we do not stand for that. Absolutely not. It is awful. And as such, they are like speaking up and saying like, hey, this person's bad. We've got to like get them off the platform, etc., etc., etc. That's what I want to believe. But the facts that I'm seeing are that they had a panel where they talked humorously about being culturally Arabic and then were mischaracterized, persecuted, basically hate mobbed, and then banned from the platform with, I don't know for sure that the ADL actually talked to Twitch, like maybe they were lying, but with a like $100 million revenue organization which believes that it's racist to say that people can't go and colonize the homes of Arabic humans, like leveraging a ban against them. That's what I've seen. And it really seems like this wouldn't happen to a white person. It just strikes me that probably there's some amount of racism going on being leveled at the people being persecuted, not at the people with hundreds of millions of dollars who are getting them kicked out of their jobs. Also, what the fuck is going on at the ADL? I just like, what? Weird. So yeah, every now and then drama like escapes its contained community into like a place where I see it, and sometimes I find it really fascinating and want to talk about it, And this was one of those times. It's an election year. It's being tough out there. This is really weird, and like deeply uncomfortable in the context of like we live in America, we're working for an American company, we should be able to be culturally things other than white, and we should be able to talk critically about things like colonialism. And